Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Teens Biz Talk. We are so excited that you are here with us today. Our guest is going to, man, I'm telling you, you do not want to miss not one moment of this episode because I know he is going to be bringing all the gems, all the tips, all the tricks, all the what's to come. So make sure that you are set and ready to listen to this whole episode. So excited. I will tell you who it is in just a moment. Teens Biz Talk, in case this is your first time joining us, we are here to talk all things teenage entrepreneurship. So we have the opportunity to talk to other teenage entrepreneurs, and they come on and they share what it is that they do, how they started, and any type of great advice that they have for other teen entrepreneurs that are just starting. We also have the privilege of having business professionals come in, folks from HR, folks that are into franchising and things of that nature, to also share some tips and resources with our community. Just wanted to let you know this episode is being sponsored by Bateman Empowering Educators. At Bateman Empowering Educators, we take away the trial and error method of your teenager learning about money and replace it with a practical blueprint to equip them to create a 5-star financial future. So be sure to click on our link below to find out what type of resources we have available for you. So here we go. We are about to get into it. We have with us today Benjamin Wong. Hello, Benjamin. How are you?
Hey Tara, I'm doing great. So excited to talk to you today.
Good. Thank you very much for taking time out of what I know is your very busy schedule. You have your hand in and are dabbling and spreading the word on quite a few things. So really, really appreciative that you took some time to stop by and talk with us today. But let me not spoil anything. There's a couple things I already know, but let's go ahead and let our community know. If you could just tell us some things about yourself.
So I'm Benjamin Wong, go by Ben. I'm out here in Los Angeles, California. Regular teen in many ways, except I have a really big penchant for entrepreneurship, running companies, and helping others. And so I have a few podcasts now: the Youngtrep podcast, a podcast called Two Kids on the Block, and also a podcast called Kidceo. I'm also the CEO of Kidceo Media. We're a communications company that focuses on producing content like the podcast, but also branching out into a few other things that are coming up soon.
Awesome, awesome. That all sounds great. So what even inspired you to get started in business? You just listed off several things. And before you launch into that, since this is all about teen entrepreneurship, how old are you then?
I'm 15.
15. Great. So yeah, what even got you interested in delving into this world of entrepreneurship? And then if you can just share a little bit how you started to find the different avenues in terms of podcasting, and then not just podcasting, but the media company aspect.
I got started in the world of business when I was around 9, 10, 11, somewhere around there. It was 2015 and it was the year of Star Wars. So as any, young boy or girl, I wanted these Funko Pops, these bobbleheads, and they were like stormtroopers or Yoda, they Obi-Wan Kenobi, whatever. And instead of going to my parents to ask for them, I wanted to make the money myself. So I went outside, climbed up some with avocado. Sorry. I climbed up to some avocado trees, picked the avocados off with my friends. We took it to the corner and just started waving around avocados, trying to sell them to people. And we actually made, $30 an hour, which is not bad for a few 9 year
That at
olds.
all, yes.
And so from there, that was really the start of my entrepreneurial penchant. And I branched out into a few other things. Like I got cooking foil, like the kind you use on pans. And I would make things like swans or bowls. And then I'd put them under my desk. And whenever relatives would come over, I'd have them buy a $10 foil swan. And so that's another thing that I did. And so from there, I just kept doing, I guess you could say, bigger and bigger things with, and to answer your question, is a lot of with curiosity. It's so possible now to learn about something and then go do it with the whole internet thing. So it was just curiosity that whenever I came up with something new, whenever I heard about something new, like podcasting, like NFTs, which we'll talk about later, I just wanted to explore it. So I did, and I found what I could do in it, and I just executed.
Wow. Wow. I love, there was one word that really stood out to me there in terms of curiosity. And that is so important. I see it just in terms of my own work that it's lacking in some people, but that is really, I believe, what moves things, right? What gets
Yeah.
things done, what moves us forward so that we don't stay stagnant in a place, is that curiosity. That is great. So with all that you're doing, and then you have school, and then you have friends, and then there's just other things I'm sure you like to do for fun. How do you stay focused and motivated?
This is a tough question for me because I feel like my motivation is that like I love business so much that, like, for example, you don't get bored of playing games. To me, I feel that same way about business. It makes me happy. It gives me joy. And so motivation has never been a huge problem for me, just because at the end of the day, like, I love this process of creating companies. I love being on this interview with you. I love creating content. And then, of course, the external things at the end of the day, which are secondary results, like, fame, or not fame per se, but legacy, and things like that. But I think the bigger question would be in how I can get past those obstacles, because being a kid entrepreneur, I'm homeschooled. And so I spend most of the day by myself. Being a kid entrepreneur who really, really takes it that much forward in terms of like literally leaving school to go start a company, it is lonely and there are a lot of obstacles. The biggest thing though is that I'm just still so grateful for the opportunity that I have here, that I can't miss it. So I think it's twofold. One, loving what you do. If
Mhm.
I really believe that once you find the thing that you absolutely cannot live without, whether that's business, art, whether that's buying stocks, whether that's helping others as a doctor, whether that's painting, anything like that, I genuinely believe that that motivation just comes with doing what you love. And then the second part of it is when obstacles come about, being so grateful of the opportunity that you have, that you won't let it diminish your dream.
That is great. I am writing this down to remind myself a little later. I hope you all are taking notes too, because wow, that is great, Benjamin. The loving what you do and being grateful.
Yep.
Yes. Yes. So you talked a little bit just about challenges and how they can arise, and even and thank you for just sharing. The aspect of it can be lonely at times in terms of how your school structure is set up, and then just moving right into business without having that huge social aspect that's usually included
Right.
when someone attends an outside type of school. So what is a business challenge that you've encountered that you feel helped you to grow as a person and or as a business owner?
I gotta say, like it, talked about a little bit earlier, loneliness, because honestly, just a PSA to everyone out there: if you are listening to me and you want to like leave school to go run a business, be very careful that you absolutely, absolutely love it, because it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, and it does get lonely, right? So if you don't absolutely love business, I don't encourage that you leave this whole social aspect and go do it. But to get over that hump of loneliness and solidarity, the biggest the biggest results it gave me in terms of my personal growth and my business growth was understanding that it wasn't all fun and games. Before that, I was in regular school up until this year. I still had the social aspect. I still had the business aspect that could coexist. Now it's a different structure because everyone else is back to school and I'm still at home. And so the biggest growth that's given me is understanding that it wasn't all fun and games, and that has really, really influenced the content I produce. Like, honestly, what I just said about not doing exactly what I'm doing, I wouldn't have said that a year ago, because a year ago it was all fun and games. But that loneliness and that feeling really did give me a new perspective, and that no, this thing isn't going to be easy. It's not all fun and games. But at the end of the day, if you can make it over the hump, I think that's where happiness is.
Yes. Yes. So if you don't mind, I just want to stay with the loneliness aspect a little bit here and talk about it, because that is something that is definitely, I'm not sure, when people are going to be actually listening to this particular episode, but it is definitely something that I would dare say is plaguing a lot of people right now dealing with
Yeah.
it. And definitely people of all ages, but something that I've noticed is just the younger the younger generation. When I say younger, I see it's between that age of like 11 and even up to 19, right?
Yeah.
Are just struggling with all of the changes and the confines that are going on. How and I so what I'm getting up to is just from me, following you on Instagram and some of the great things that you do. I see you do kind of have a tribe, right, that you work with. So, how would you recommend other teenage entrepreneurs still find that group of people, even in the midst of, the separation? And, you mentioned some people are going back to school this year. There's still some people that, like you, have made a decision, to not go back. How can they find that tribe just to help for that support?
Experimentation. And I'll start with the people who are digitally, I guess, lonely,
Mhm,
where they don't have people to hang out with in their like homeschool like me, or even if they do go to a regular school and they don't have a ton of friends there. What's great about this digital age is that it's so easy to meet new people. And of course, be very safe here because there are a lot of dangers to the internet.
mhm,
But with things like Discord, with things like Instagram, if you, and again, if you find your passion and then follow that, right? So if you're a artist and you want to do NFT art, for example, there are so many kids out there who have similar interests. And so that just experimentation is just constantly following different Twitter threads, finding people in comments, tweeting yourself, searching on Google, searching on Twitter, on Instagram, searching for accounts that are relevant. So in terms of finding friends digitally, it's just really important to have experimentation. It doesn't cost money to do a Twitter or Instagram search. It doesn't cost money to follow someone. It doesn't cost money to message someone, right? So in terms of finding your tribe, just experiment, keep doing it, and eventually you'll find someone and many people. And then in terms of finding friends in real life, a big thing here is again with experimentation, but there's a second aspect to it because people are people. And it's really important that you don't focus too much on other people's perception of you. So
mhm,
if you go and try to meet new friends, the biggest reason why you wouldn't do that is because you're afraid of, oh, will they not like me? Will they not like me? What do they think of my shirt? Something like
mhm,
that. That's another second aspect that comes with meeting people in real life is not caring so much about what they think about you. And that's, you're going to make you easily go talk to them, go meet new people. And even if the first 10 people or the first 10 groups of people you meet in real life don't necessarily like you or don't have a particular interest of you, just
mhm.
try again. And that's where that humility and not caring about other people's opinions, that's where that comes in the most.
Great, great. So true. Thank you for that. Thank you. So we've mentioned this a couple of times, and I know we wanted to get into it. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So you are definitely, as you described, an NFT enthusiast. I like that. And you've been sharing some really, really great information just on NFTs, how young people can get involved in this space, the expansion of the metaverse, the possibilities that are there. So if you can just go ahead and talk a little bit more about that, and then just a little more of your thoughts on the future in terms of technology.
So NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and cryptocurrency, the blockchain, the whole everything over there in that space, it really has gotten me super excited. I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that I wasn't alive when the last internet happened, right? When that next transition happened was
Mhm,
the internet in 2000, and then I guess you could say social media in 2007, 2008. I
mhm,
was born in 2006. So obviously, I wasn't part of that generation that built Web 2. And Web 2 is everything social media related.
mhm,
Now it's coming around where I have an opportunity to be part of Web3, the beginning of that. So that's what really gets me excited about this whole NFT space and cryptocurrency and the metaverse. Is I really feel like I can be something here, just as Mark Zuckerberg was the big, one big person in 2007, 2008. I really feel like I can make a huge impact on this space, and like this could be my and a bunch of other kids' times to shine. And especially the NFTs can shine the light on so many different types of people, just like it helps digital artists. There are some kids who comment that they have their own art pieces that they launch as NFTs. The people who are creating platforms, some might be kids who are creating projects. And I just feel like NFTs and cryptocurrency is a great opportunity for so much of us to make this our time. And then I'll talk about, I guess I should talk about what they are in the first place.
mhm. Oh, please, yes, go ahead and give us that breakdown.
So NFTs, non-fungible tokens, is a digital piece of media. That could be a picture, that could be a song, music, that could be a video, that could be an animated GIF that's on the blockchain, which is basically this a series of transactions. So basically, it just says Tara bought this NFT, Ben bought this crypto, and so a NFT is a piece of digital media that is minted or verified on the blockchain, meaning it cannot be recreated and it can be owned, traded, sold, bought, anything like that. And so NFTs really open the door to a lot of possibilities from, like I said, digital art to helping influencers create projects to helping to event tickets to sporting tickets to concert tickets, and the possibilities are really unlimited.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. So, what do you do, or what have you found in your study in terms of the connection of NFTs to the metaverse? I know just recently, Facebook, changed its name to Meta,
Yeah.
in an effort to really, you know, be not a pioneer, to be in the forefront, right, of the metaverse space. And I
Yeah.
mean, a little bit, it really makes sense just in terms of the number of people that are already on that platform. It already kind of was its own metaverse in a sense, in terms of its own entity. So, but what do you see, just with Mark Zuckerberg being that, and you had mentioned him being, one of the pioneers of the last um, web transition type thing. How do you see that connecting?
I got to say, I really love Mark Zuckerberg, and the type of vision he has for where attention's at. He was there in social media in late 2000s, building Facebook, and then acquiring Instagram, acquiring WhatsApp. And now this is a very good sign that one of our world's leading thinkers is moving towards the metaverse, because he knows the attention that I like. Honestly, I don't have any interest in getting a Facebook when I'm an adult. So he understands that the attention is no longer completely on social media, and that there is a lot more attention available in the metaverse. And I'll explain the metaverse real quick. The metaverse is essentially a digital reality where you can be anything you want, do anything you want. You can be a soldier, you can be a magician, you can be a wizard. And the entire idea of a metaverse and NFTs and cryptocurrency is this idea of decentralization, basically taking power from the few entities and redistributing it back to the people. So with the metaverse, everything's an NFT, or at least on most platforms, everything is an NFT. So you can be playing game XYZ where you and friends, you can farm. You can take the house that you built and go sell that as an NFT. Someone else can buy it and then they can use that. They can sell it for more money. They can sell it for less money. They can trade it. So the idea of the metaverse is really, really closely connected to NFTs and crypto because they all surround the idea of decentralization, not relying so much on the platforms and being able to have it more, being able to transition the power back to the people. So that's kind of where the connection comes in between NFTs, cryptocurrency, and the metaverse.
Great. Oh wow. I am loving this. I hope those of you who are listening are loving this too. The enthusiasm, the understanding, the clarity that Ben is giving us here is amazing. And so with this information, right, and some of it, I guess we can't really call it relatively new. There's been some things going on out there. I think it's becoming more known within mainstream, right? And people are reporting on it now. How do you do your research, right? Because certainly everything that
Yeah.
you've just shared is not a matter of, well, you can just Google it. No, it's obvious that you have definitely done your research to get an understanding so you can then share that information and be able to explain that information to someone else. So how do you go about doing your research on topics that interest you?
Of course, it starts with curiosity, the magic word, curiosity. It starts with that and just having that genuine interest in it. I think that everyone will have a little bit of interest in NFTs when they become even more mainstream. But I have a huge curiosity. I had a huge curiosity for virtual reality 3 years ago. So metaverse and NFTs is kind of a natural place. But one, start with the curiosity, really, really, really have that passion for, wait, what are NFTs? Okay, now that I know what NFTs are, why are they important? Okay, now that I know why they can be important, how can I interact with NFTs? I can buy them. Oh, I can make my own. Oh, I can sell them. Oh, look, here's a website where there's a bunch of NFTs. Wait, this one's worth $1 million. So start with curiosity, and that's gonna just lead you down a rabbit hole. And I would also say a big important part of researching and trying to understand these new technologies is to really be open-minded, because there's a lot of opinions out there. There's a lot of opinions for NFTs, a lot of opinions against NFTs. And I really encourage you not to write off things right away. Even if I really love NFTs, a lot of people on Twitter talk about why NFTs are bad. And I'm not going to just sit there and say, I hate you, go away, and block them. I listen to them. I want to understand why they don't like NFTs. Maybe I'll leave a comment to try to ask them some more questions, understand that viewpoint, see how we can fix that issue. Environmental impact is a big reason why people don't like them. So I really like new platforms that don't have that environmental impact. So to kind of sum everything up, how to research NFTs and how to research anything, start with curiosity, be open-minded, and honestly, you could just open a Google search, what are NFTs, and then lead with the curiosity to go find other rabbit holes. And eventually, after 40 hours, you'll be a huge expert in NFTs.
Great. Wow. So in light of just everything that you've shared, and you just shared that a few years back you were also interested in VR, and just again how that has morphed, and like you said, therefore moving into in VR, the virtual reality, therefore moving into NFTs and metaverse was just an easy path to follow in that way. What do you see are your plans and or goals over the next year or 3 years? The rate that things are going and changing and shifting and emerging, just kind of what are your plans and goals in terms of how you want to operate in these new spaces?
Great question. I don't know exactly what my role is going to be in NFTs or in the whole tech space or in the whole business space as a whole. I don't know exactly how much in even 1 year, 5 years. I do know that the biggest thing I really want to do in these next few years is to first educate as many people as possible. To, I guess, help as many people as possible in this space. But more importantly, like Mark Zuckerberg, in 2008, 2009, like a Gary Vee in 2008, 2009. I don't know. I haven't done enough research on the 2000 internet, but I like Jeff Bezos, like a Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates in 2000, be a huge and figurehead in this NFT space. Really leave my legacy behind in this whole space, just as all those people have done in the past. That I know for sure. I don't know exactly how I'm going to get there. Maybe by releasing a project, maybe by helping other people with their projects, maybe by having a blog, maybe by continuing my Instagram, maybe by having a TV show. No idea. But that's the one thing I do know, is that I am going to do my best in everything I can to leave my mark on this entire space in these next few years.
Wow. Wow, that is great. Everyone, you heard it here. So just you need to make sure you are on the lookout for whatever it is Ben is going to do. He just listed 3 or 4 totally different areas. I'm excited to see where you end up to be able to educate, help. And I heard there be an influencer for people to really make sure that they are aware of what's going on and what's to come. That is great. So just a question, there are maybe some other teenagers listening and they're like, well, I haven't quite started. Maybe I'm not where Ben is in terms of understanding what's going on. And, I do have to go to school. And so that takes up some time, right, of having to be in school and then work on
Mhm.
something else. Who in your life would you say has supported you to, with your thirst for learning, with your curiosity, with your, oh, I want to do this, now I want to do that? Who has been there to support you?
My parents, for sure, 1,000% my parents. These from the podcast to doing a virtual reality science project a few years back. These are all things that I had an idea for, or I had an inkling for, that I would go talk to my parents, my mom, my dad, and say, hey, I think this would be really cool. And then they'd always be the one to say, oh, actually, you should do this to help make it even better. And they
Mm.
suggest these things, and then also really keep me accountable and also keep me motivated to continue to do these things. So for sure, 1,000%, my parents have always been there to support me, whether that is talking to me and being there as emotional support, whether that's being sharing it to all the social medias, whether that being helping me if I need to get a microphone to record a podcast, everything like that. I'm just really, really, really grateful and really fortunate to have that amount of support behind me.
That is wonderful. Wow. So, I mean, my paper is full of notes that I have been taking from all this great information that you have been giving us. Um, are there any particular suggestions or recommendations that you would have specifically for someone, a teenager wanting to get into business? I know you've already mentioned definitely the curiosity is important. Definitely you having to love whatever it is that you're
Yep.
moving into. Is there anything else, any other tips that you may have to help them get started?
My biggest tip slash piece of advice for teen entrepreneurs who want to go create something, doesn't matter if you're leaving school to do it or still in school and doing it, is to be very, very, very open to opportunities. And the tricky thing here is that opportunities aren't always very obvious. I view this as an opportunity when you reach out to me. I view going to messaging someone, answering a DM is an opportunity. DMing someone is an opportunity. My biggest possible piece of advice is to just be so open-minded to every opportunity that's available. This doesn't apply to all people, but it's really important to say yes a lot more, especially when you're just starting out, when you don't have a lot to lose, especially when you're a kid and you don't have a huge amount of opportunities or responsibilities. Say yes a lot more. Whether that's someone who wants to interview you, whether that's someone who asks you for a favor, whether that's you reaching out to someone else, be very open to opportunities and always use the opportunities you have to make even more.
Great. Wow. I am writing that down for myself, not just for the teenagers that are listening and wanting to get started. So, wow, we have covered a lot in this conversation. Was there anything else that you wanted to share, Ben, that we did not cover, that we did not talk about?
Not really. I think we covered all of it.
Yes. Okay, great. So if you would please let our community know how they can connect with you.
My primary platform, if you want to keep getting more content like this, or even like things that are not necessarily NFT focused but are more talking, like talking about opportunities, advice for entrepreneurs, the best place to follow me is on Instagram, official Benjamin Wong. You can also head to my website, benjaminwong.co, and there's a lot more content there, blog there. And those are my two main things. I don't want to overwhelm anyone. So those are my main two platforms. Official Benjamin Wong on Instagram, benjaminwong.co website, and there's content for days there.
Okay, great. And one other thing we had mentioned a little bit earlier, because you do have your own podcast also. Can you
Oh yeah,
just tell us a little bit about that also?
yeah. So I have a few podcasts now. One podcast called Youngtrep podcast. That's a podcast I produce in partnership with Kidceo Academy, and that's a podcast where I interview people from all walks of life, primarily experts in different things like innovation or health. I have a lot of health, like doctors and coaches and chefs, and from business experts to people who specialize in innovation, people who run consulting companies, to also stories of kidpreneurs. Like last week, I had a kid entrepreneur who's a motivational TikToker, and he has like over 175,000 followers. And so we talked all about his story from his start to where he is now. And so that's what I do on the Youngtrep podcast, is stories and also expert interviews. And then on my new podcast, Two Kids on the Block, I partner with Kamea LaFontaine. He's a 12-year-old. He's been doing Bitcoin for 4 years on his YouTube channel. And he is just an expert in everything there is to do with blockchain, cryptocurrency, NFTs, and he's so passionate about it. So every single week, actually later today, we'll be recording a weekly discussion where we talk about everything that has to do with NFTs and cryptocurrency. For about an hour, we do some Q&As with kids who we invite on, and that's what we do on that podcast. And then I'm also working on rebounding my Kidceo podcast, which was the first podcast I did 2-3 years back, and we did like over 50 episodes there, but I'm bringing it back now. I hope we can do daily podcasts, compiling things from everything I do, and just, creating every single day 10 to 30 minute episodes of just amazing advice, NFT news, everything.
Wow. Wow, wow, and wow. All right. So for everyone, in case you weren't able to write down all of that right away, have no fear. All of that information will be in the description below to make sure you do not miss anything that Ben is working on, because it's going to be fire. It is definitely going to be a fire. Well, once again, thank you so much for taking time to come and share with us today. This was just wow. This was really just wow, with the information, with your passion, and definitely the word of the day is a curiosity. That's probably one of my biggest takeaways here, is the curiosity.
100%. Thank you so much, Tara, for having me on the show. I had a ton of fun, and I hope your audience all learned something, whether that's a new perspective, whether they learned about NFTs for the first time. Hope they all gained some value from this conversation.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And to everyone listening, remember, everything in creation was created with a gift inside of it. That includes you. So go out and share your gift with the world. Until next time.